So today, I was a dumb bitch.
She tried to kill us.
Yeah, I fucking sprayed pepper spray in my trash can because I thought it was expired, so of course it wouldn't fucking hurt. But no, it became airborne, and we're gonna be choking throughout this episode.
Airborne dust.
Airborne. It tastes like swallowing dust, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, my eyes are fine because it's expired, but my lungs are suffering. Yeah, just had to start with that. So today's topic is going to be about, we're going to do relationships again, but this time we wanted to talk more about, like, the material aspects. Specifically, is it wrong to want someone who's rich, and is it wrong to want this expensive ring? So those are kind of going to be the topics we bounce off of, and then we both have been, I don't know why, we kind of got on this kick last year where we like needed to articulate exactly what we wanted from a relationship.
I can tell you why.
Yeah, what's up?
So we were, as we stated before, part of Unity. And the leader in our Unity group, I don't know if she wants to be called out on here, but she was saying how if you want something, you have to put it out into the universe for it to be received so it can give it back to you. And so we were in our kick about always being presented an asshole of a guy. And so it was like, well, part of the reason is because we never made our list. And the point is, you're supposed to make a list about everything that you want and then forget about the list and it'll come to you.
Yeah, my mom did that with my dad, and she always talks about it because she hates being in the water. She hates the water in general. She just likes the way it looks. So she was like, I want a guy who knows how to sail. And then she met my dad, who was on a competitive sailing team for the better part of a decade. And that was really fucking weird of her to do that, but clearly in some ways it was fate. You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
But my thing was, I'm not sure why you and I just randomly started doing it. Like, I know where we got the idea from. I just don't know what the fuck possessed us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I have no fucking clue. But yeah, so we went and I typed mine out because I'm more of a computer guy. Khairah's more of a handwritten guy, so she wrote hers out. But we went through, like, how tall should he be? Should he be black? Should he be
a person of color?
Yeah, like how close to our age should he be, and so on and so forth. And we went and did a lot of stuff. And I think I mentioned in an earlier episode that I also planned out an entire wedding because I was bored.
She's supposed to be planning out mine, but she didn't.
Hey man, you gotta remind me. That's your wedding. I really am just gonna be there to be like, okay, well, have you thought about what kind of flowers you want? Or like just to give you the topics, you know what I mean? Not necessarily to like, cause I don't feel like I should plan it. You gotta have some creative freedom there.
That's fair.
Yeah, man, yeah. Mine is gonna be a Disney princess wedding. And that'll be the one day in my life I'm allowing myself to be full girly. I'm gonna get my makeup done, nails. I'm gonna get a Brazilian wax. Anyway, yeah, back on topic. So we're gonna start with, is it shallow to want a guy with money? I'm gonna flat out say maybe.
I will concur. No, I agree.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I agree. The reason, because it depends on the circumstance, it depends on the person, and what the intentions are behind it. Because there's a difference of wanting someone who's on the same level as you, and then seeking someone to give you a certain status, and that's the difference. So it can be gold digging if you're like, I'm a nickel out here looking for someone who's $100 bill because I don't want to work to get that far, but I know that you got it, so I want you to give it to me.
Or if you only want him for his money, yeah. And
so that is where wanting someone specifically who has that, to where that could be an issue. But if you're looking for someone who you want to elevate you, in like you're both growing, but then also someone who's on your level, like there's no reason that I should be okay necessarily wanting to be with someone who is bottom of the barrel and I'm like a diamond, you know. I like to think I'm a diamond, but no, diamonds are not that great. I'm a stone. A nice stone. It's a nice
Diamonds are nice. Don't shit on diamonds.
But they're soulless.
No, they're not.
Okay.
No, man. Well, okay. As the resident rock guy for the podcast, even though there's only 2 of us, I'm gonna say I think diamonds have a negative connotation because they're really pretty, but technically all gemstones are semi-precious because people can't feel the spiritual potential of them.
Okay, that's fair. So I have a lot of potential. And there's nothing wrong with wanting someone who, again, is at the same level. So there's no reason that I should be, oh, well, I could mold them into having the potential that they had, that I see in them, because they're never going to want to grow. And
that's why relationships.
And I'm not going
to. I'm not even trying to be funny. That's like a thing.
At one point, I was okay with having something like that, because I didn't want to be like, oh, not looking at someone's character. But even if there's someone who, you can tell the difference between someone who's working hard for themselves and just having a hard time than someone who doesn't want to work hard for themselves. So that's why I would be very specific in saying I wanted someone who was ambitious. Because there is not just having potential at that point. You have potential and you're going for it. And so that's why I'm saying being on the same level. We can both be potential and be on that same level. That's what we choose and that's what we want. But there's no reason that I should be potential and have ambition and then you just don't have the ambition. I can't have it for both of us. You gotta want it for yourself.
Yeah, man. Oh my God, pepper spray. There's a huge, it's technically a stigma, but like, there's just a huge focus on social media for some reason for girls to fix guys. Why? I don't want a bum ass nigga. Like, and I have a very specific example. I wish I'd found it before we started doing this, but this lady literally, she took pictures at various points throughout the relationship. She found this nigga sleeping on a bus stop and then, air quotes here, fixed his life. And then of course he cheated on her. Of course he did. Because you're basically mothering him. Who actually likes that? No one. People might want that, mind you, but that's not something that you respect.
That's not something that you see a sexual intimacy with.
There you go. And then to just nail the coffin at home, or put the nail in the coffin. Drive. Yeah. Okay. But to drive the point home, I'll say it like that. There is nothing appealing to me about being someone, like, I consider myself someone with ambitions. Why would I want to lift somebody up? That takes away from the time and energy that I need to put into my ambitions. You know what I'm getting at? Yeah.
You both should be working on yourselves together. There's a difference between that and then working for you. I'm not about to do that. I am not your mom. You are a grown-ass man. You can have something for yourself,
please. And like, I'm gonna be 1,000% honest. I am kind of a hypocrite as far as that goes, because it's easier for me to say that when I'm not involved with somebody. Like, yeah, of course you need to take care of your own shit, but then I get excited to do stuff for the other person when I'm in a relationship. We'll make a whole episode about that. We're gonna call that one codependency. Yay, codependency-ism. Yeah, I told her before we started I wanted to do isms, so now we're gonna have to find an ism for codependency.
Codependency-ism sounds good to me.
See, but I feel like we don't have a big enough audience for the joke to land. You know what I mean?
But that's not our problem.
Fair enough. I'm still going to try and find a word, but for now, codependency-ism. So that's going to be the episode for that, where I'm going to deep dive into my 2-year-long stint in depression. I don't know what to call that. It was just not a good relationship. And I'm not one of those people who's going to just, oh, fuck him. He was the worst person in the world. No, he wasn't. We were just, at the end of the day, not compatible. But there are plenty of reasons that prevented either of us from recognizing that sooner. And that's what the conversation's going to be about.
And I will dive into the brief experiences that I have that also reflected a lot of that as an issue. Because, like she said, it's easier said than done. Like, I don't think that we have it all together. Yes, this is what I want. No, I can't. Like, I am very picky. And I like to think that that's a good thing, because it has kept me, quote unquote, safe for the most part. But I still had some shitty choices that I made.
Yeah, it's a little too easy to compromise. Oh my God, pepper spray. It's a little too easy to compromise yourself when that doesn't feel like that's what you're doing.
Yeah, because you get so excited. You want to make sure that you're doing the right stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I don't want to go too deep into it, but you just want to make sure that you're doing the right stuff. So it's easy for you to fall into that point where you lose ambition for yourself and have it for them. You let go of your own dreams to build theirs.
And I have two examples of that. One's personal, one's like not my business, but I know it anyway. So the personal one, when I got with this guy that I was dating for 2 years, he didn't have shit. Didn't have a driver's license, was bouncing around from couch to couch, didn't have a job, you know what I'm saying? Just various things like that.
I got him a job.
I got him a job. I got him his driver's license, and then he was driving my car. Like, I helped him get his shit together. And while he appreciated that at the time, and he'll never acknowledge this because he's not he has no desire to be self-aware. I think he's intelligent enough to do it if he felt like it. He doesn't. But I think it got to a point where he felt like he was above me because he surpassed me at that point. Like, he took all the baseline things that I gave him, but then I'm pouring all my energy into him, so now I'm not doing shit. But he's got nothing but time and resources because I keep giving it to him. So he kept thinking of himself as above me and eventually lost interest in the relationship. But then didn't have the confidence or the awareness to say, oh, this isn't working anymore. Like, clearly I'm not enjoying myself. Either that, he could have just been taking advantage of me too, which is always a possibility.
The thing is, it's like, even though you was pouring energy into him, you forgot about yourself.
Yeah, completely.
And then... like, it's so easy, you forget about yourself and forget that you have to, now that I've helped you, I can go back to helping myself. Mm-hmm. It's not an easy transition doing that. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he felt he was above you was because while he was still elevating, you were still stuck at that same place. Because he
didn't reach down to help me.
He wasn't feeding the same energy back into you. And that's why I say be on the same level, because while you can extend energy and do it into yourself, and even when you get to the point where you're extending it into each other, you're both elevating each other the same way. It has to be reciprocated.
It has to. And then this is the last point I'm going to make on this, because we are kind of diving into some shit we didn't intend to talk about. But my best friend, when I was like elementary school, early middle school, moved to Georgia because her mom's husband had gotten an opportunity out in Texas. She put down everything. Her entire family's up here in Michigan, mind you. She dropped everything to follow this nigga out to Texas. He lost his job. Just various shit like that kept happening, but she kept, I'll take care of the kids. Now, mind you, this man has 5 sons and then got her pregnant. No, he had 3, got her pregnant with 2 more, and they have my friend at the time. So she's the only girl in the family. I do want to throw that out. But, so they got all that going on. Now she's got babies, and then this man can't hold a job. Tell me why the fuck they just got divorced recently because he's like, oh, you don't take care of yourself enough. Even though you made her pick up her entire life, you know what I'm saying, to come be out here with you because you fucking pepper spray. Because you like the idea of taking care of somebody until the reality of it hits home and then you want somebody on your level. You know what I'm saying? That's the last thing I'm going to say about that, because fuck niggas that act like that. But to bring it back around, I think it's harder for women to feel like they're justified in picking someone on their level, because it's hard to know what your level even is. So like Khairah and I jokingly shit on ourselves all the time, like, oh, I'm not doing XYZ the way I want to, or like I'm dumb, blah blah blah, or like the fact that we're both living in my parents' house. Neither of us like that, neither of us want that. We both thought we'd be out of here by now. But the point is still that I don't, like, air quotes, deserve to be with someone like who is couch hopping or just not taking care of themselves just because I'm not doing as well as I think I should be. I'm still an ambitious person. And that's another thing. Okay, we made it about materialism, but at the end of the day, if both of our goal is to get money and neither of us have it right now, I think it would make sense to combine our efforts. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's Khairah's point. That's what she's been saying. You have to be on the same footing. And again, that's still easier said than done, because people tend to lie about themselves a lot. And I'll catch myself doing shit like, oh, Khairah and I had a conversation where I was saying that she's not confident, but she has a high self-esteem, and I'm very confident, but I have a low self-esteem.
You switched it. You said I have high confidence but low self-esteem.
I think so. It's one of the two. Same shit. You get the principle though. So we're kind of flip flopped in that, but at the end of the day, it's kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? That's a way that I would lie to myself to make shit sound better, and it's still helpful in general, because then it's like, oh, okay, if I have high enough self-esteem to not let you talk shit about me, but not high enough confidence to wear the clothes that I want to wear, those are two separate issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I literally had the exact opposite issue, because I would be more concerned about making other people uncomfortable about the clothes that I wear. But I have no problem with wearing. I did a photo shoot where my butt was out.
She got a nice ass.
Why, thank you.
You're welcome.
Another person likes it very much too. Anyway, anyway, the thing is that I was comfortable in wearing that. It was fun. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it. I plan on doing it again, more than once, because it's fun. I enjoyed it, but I didn't have enough self-esteem to not let a guy make me feel stupid when he was talking to me. I mentioned this I think in the previous episode about relationships, but I had a guy that I talked to who, which again, I will talk more about that specific relationship-ish thing in our other episode, but I let him talk to me like I was stupid, and then validated him talking to me like that way by saying that, oh, well, maybe I am. And you have, like, I wasn't at the confidence level that I should have, or confidence or self-esteem level that I should have been at to be able, I keep stumbling over my words. Same. To be able to say that, no, I don't deserve to be talked like that. I am far from stupid. Mm-hmm. And while I can get hot-headed and cuss somebody out that I'm not in a relationship with for attempting to talk to me like I'm stupid, in that specific instance, I didn't.
Yeah, man, and I feel kind of the opposite, where I might be in my head about, like, damn, am I actually stupid? But I'll be damned if a nigga talk to me like that. Who the fuck do you think you are? I'm God. What the fuck are you talking about? I'll leave that alone for now, but yeah, man.
But the point is, I've grown from that, and I'll be damned if somebody else talks to me like that. And it's having that experience and then growing from that by being by myself for a very long time, because I didn't talk to any other guys after that for like 3 years. Damn, it has been 3 years.
Well, listen, we don't count pandemic time, so
that's fair. 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But so, like, doing that, and literally what happened is it took me talking back to him, realizing that I was wasting my time, and I was like, you know what? I'm wasting both mine and your time. You made it very clear that I was not worth yours, and you damn sure isn't worth mine. And I was just like, you know what? I'm done. And I just stopped talking to him. So, like, that was a level for me. Nobody will ever talk to me like that. Even the guy that I'm friends with right now, who likes my ass, but he likes
more than her ass. Let's qualify that.
That's fair. I've known him for a very long time, But he would never talk to me like that. Has never talked to me like that. And nobody ever will.
Ever again. No.
But we kind of did get a little bit sidetracked.
And that's fine. Yeah, that's totally fine. It needed to be said, and it needed to preface. This is why we wanted to do a whole like series on relationships, because there's just so many angles to tackle this from. Yeah. And to be honest, it would have been I would have felt unfulfilled with the content we made if we'd only tried to tackle it from one angle. So yeah. With 20 minutes in, let's actually get on topic. So I wanted to go through. I have like a list of
we didn't actually answer the question.
Is it shallow? Okay. So we did kind of with the maybe, and then we're like giving our examples for why it's not, and we briefly got into why it would be, but like I feel like it's a good thing that we're so far removed from the gold digger mindset that we can't even focus on that. I do want to point that out, because that just doesn't make sense to me, especially if like, okay, because again, a larger part of things is while you do want to find people that are like socially on level with you, you also still want to find people that you're compatible with. So even if I find a nigga with money and he looks great, if I think you're dumb, or
I'm not wasting my time,
or just, you know, some niggas are boring, you know what I mean? There's just a fundamental lack of compatibility. Oh, great example. At the beginning of last year, pepper spray, fuck. At the beginning of last year,
that's gonna be a running joke.
Yeah, every time I choke from now on, just goddamn pepper spray. But yeah, so at the beginning of last year, one of my friends from high school and middle school, and we all went over his house for his birthday, and you know, I was just being me, and one of his roommates caught the vibe. So he was trying to talk to me or whatever, but he was just so fundamentally boring. Now, he did everything right. I love playing video games, so he took me to Dave & Buster's. We went and got rolled ice cream. You know what I mean? He like took me on actual dates, and that's something my ex never did. That shows you I leveled up at least a little bit. But so we were hanging out or whatever, and then I went home the first day, and I was like, I don't know, like that just wasn't it. And I tried to talk to my mom about it, but my mom's old school, and she's like, well, he's nice, you should give him a chance. So I did. And then I talked to Khairah about it, and I'm like, I don't know. Oh, and because he came to, my brother threw a protest, so he came to that, and I was like doing energy work while I was there, and I asked Khairah for help and blah blah blah, and like, you know, she immediately jumped to, because that's my buddy. But he just sat there, and he did help a little bit. He put on a timer for me, but like for the most part he didn't really participate. And then when I was talking to Khairah about why that bothered me later, she was like, he basically lacks any, like, not necessarily motivation or ambition as far as his own personal life goes, but as far as interacting with me, he showed no ambition.
And he had no presence.
Yeah, and because while the video game date was fun or whatever, I don't know if he did that because he knew that I like video games. It just so happened to be a really good place to go. You know what I'm saying?
And I also say, like, when I mean no presence, I mean that he kind of faded into the background. Like, I can't even remember his face. I'm very, very good with remembering faces. I will not remember a name, but I'll remember a face. Mm-hmm. And I can remember his silhouette. And when people are like that, and I can't remember a face, then you have no presence. You have no standing for yourself. Mm-hmm. And that can be unappealing to certain people, because what you're doing is you're being kind of my lapdog, my person in the background. Yeah. I don't want somebody that's in my background. I want somebody who's on my side. And so somebody who can argue with me if I need to, or you know,
yeah, man,
whatever it may be, but someone who's on my level, who's not going to submit to everything that I have to say. And that's the problem, and that was her issue with it.
Yeah, man. And that was something I didn't even recognize. Like, I mean, I knew that it bothered me, but I didn't recognize it enough to articulate it in that way on my own. Let's take a water break. Oh my god.
Moments later,
that shit feels like I emptied out the vacuum into my mouth. Fuck. But yeah, so, and then, no, again, there's nothing wrong with him as a person on his own. That was just an issue of us fundamentally being incompatible. And I did want to say, I kind of disagree with what you just said a little bit, because I do like when I was with my ex, he and I were both, I would consider us both, if we're talking about like alphas and betas or whatever, I would consider us both alphas, but when it came to like parties and stuff like that, I would let him be the alpha and I would choose to fade into the background because he seemed to have more fun doing it. Like, I can do that, but I hate large groups. But then when it was just 2 or 3 people, he let me do it because I'm so much better at finessing a small group.
Somebody on your side.
I was gonna say that was way different. That was with my ex, and like, that was one of the few ways where I think we got along beautifully. And the only thing about that situation that I didn't personally like was that I couldn't talk to him about it because, like I said earlier, he kept choosing to not be self-aware.
And that's why I wanted to correct something that well, maybe like point out what I said. I said that who's submissive to everything that I say, because not necessarily in I mean, there has to be situations where you have a type of balance and stuff like that, where I submit to this, you submit to that, or, you know, we have this understanding, like how you explained it with the parties and stuff like that. Because I would definitely be like that. I hate large groups. But I will go with somebody and let you have fun. I'll be sitting in a corner and enjoying myself by myself.
No, man, I'm talking about if you're both hosting.
Oh, and I would still, like, I have no problem, like,
stepping back
because I don't like big groups. But I have no problem being a part of it if that's something that you like or whatever. I'm not, you know, that's cool. So with having that balance, there definitely has to be balance like that, but not submissive in every situation, everything that I say. That's where it's a problem.
Yeah, I don't want to mention the situation that I have closest to me because they might listen to this, but long story short, I grew up seeing a lot of that, and subconsciously that is just a hard turn off. Like, that's not anything that I recognize, because I would find myself, there's like a really old song, I'm gonna look it up actually, hold on, because I sing it in my head every now and then as like a kind of joke, but then I caught myself hard exposed. I read a lot of like werewolf stories that normal people write, and yeah, like, they're not official authors, but they're also not like fan fiction writers, because it's not about real people. Hold on.
So pause.
Yeah, brief pause. Okay, the song is called Leader of the Pack by the Shangri-Las, and there's literally a line, okay, because my brother used to love going to the Elvis festival that they had, and wild shit. Khairah made a face. It's such a wild shit. But anyway, so we used to go to that, and then before they have the Elvis impersonators go on, they just have older music playing around the park or whatever. And one of the songs that I heard was called, like, the line was, "And I fell for the leader of the pack." And that has been stuck in my head since then, because that is the type of energy that I want. I'm not necessarily trying to go for, like, the guy who's on stage all the time, or like the goofball or whatever. Like, I don't want the center of attention. I want the leader of the pack. Does that make sense? Like, I want you to command the presence of the room. And then, see, here's the thing about the werewolf stories that the only reason I brought it up is because they tend to be submissive behind closed doors. And I think that's a dynamic that works well for me mentally. I would prefer that you be dominant out in public, and then immediately, like, I'm the leader of the household, you're the leader of the, you know what I'm getting at? Yeah, type shit.
And it just, like, you're explaining when you were saying leader of the pack as far as, like, your presence and stuff, charisma.
Ooh, yeah, good word. And then, yeah, man, listen. And that reminds me of, before, I'm not trying to cut you off, I'm so sorry, but that reminded me of, we've been watching a lot of Markiplier lately, and he said one of his favorite compliments he ever got from his girlfriend was that he was like a video game character with maxed out charisma stat. But that makes sense, because even just through a screen, I can see that there are attractive qualities about him. I don't know him on a personal level.
It draws you in to keep you watching. And you have to have personality and charisma to do stuff like that. To take over the presence of a room. When you step in, people notice you. And so for you, me as a woman, Kaylyn as a woman, to have that ourselves, because we do, I like to think.
Yeah, I don't know. We have to talk about that. I feel like I don't as much as I want to.
I think as much as you want to, but you do. People notice when you step into a room.
Well, that's because I'm God.
We don't set it up for that.
I was going to say.
But for us to have that ourselves, And even when we're not trying to be noticed, we are noticed. To not have someone who's on that same level of charisma or even higher than that is not
just
attractive.
Fundamentally unappealing. Yeah,
it's not appealing.
It's not attractive, and that's fine. I just think people need to have more. Let's use internet terminology. Normalize breaking up with people. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like people think you only have to break up if they cheated or if something catastrophic goes on.
Why does it always have to end as a bad breakup? We just didn't work out. Okay.
And every relationship doesn't have to be long term either. You know what I mean? You can date somebody just for the summer, just for cuddling up in the winter or whatever. Because at the end of the day, the thing that makes a relationship more long term is going to be beyond the material stuff. And yes, there's nothing wrong with that shit attracting you in the first place. You know what I'm saying? But if it's going to last, it's got to start somewhere. Come on now. I know how people say don't judge a book by its cover, but then why did they put cover art?
What brought you in the first place?
Come on now.
That's why they have such cover art that's so misleading, and then you end up liking the book anyway. But you was like, that had nothing to do with it.
Okay, back on topic.
Anyway,
right, back on topic. How much should a ring cost?
Okay, I'm gonna go through my I have changed my mind. Often I can't think of the word. Anyway, I've changed my mind. I cannot think of the word.
So Khairah used to be really frugal.
No, that's not what I was going. But anyway, I can change my mind whenever I want. That's essentially what I was trying to
gotcha.
say.
Okay.
I can't think of the right word, but
you want
only took my time.
Yeah, take a second.
No, but so, I don't like expensive things.
Tell them why.
I don't know.
She doesn't like when people spend money on her.
I don't. It makes me uncomfortable. That's ugly.
I liked it.
I can see why you. I wouldn't.
That sounds bad, but yeah.
No, it's not. No, that's not something I would wear.
Okay, that's fair.
I wish we could put a picture for reference. But anyway.
Yeah, we got to start recording soon.
We will.
We just finished the logo. We just have to change the background color because I don't think
I don't like that.
But
with that being said, I'm not comfortable with people spending money on me. I've never been really comfortable with that because I've been so used to doing it on my own, or I feel guilty if somebody does it. So, when I first moved in with Kaylyn, we would go back and forth about paying for stuff. Like, I have no problem paying for somebody else, but I have a really hard time accepting it. And so, because it just makes me feel so bad. I don't know why, it just does.
And that's why I often will cut her off when she's talking about shit like that. I've been doing it way more bluntly lately because she tried to tell me, yesterday or the day before.
Don't call me out.
I am going to call you out because she tried to tell me that the idea of having a big wedding gave her anxiety. And I was like, what we're not going to do. That was yesterday. I was like, what we're not going to do is pretend that this level of anxiety is going to proceed throughout your entire life. You're not going to let you being anxious right here, right now, and you're not even in a relationship, prevent you from having one of the best days of your life if you choose to go down that path. With that being said, the reason why she's been changing her mind more lately about the cost of a wedding ring is because I was like, if he chooses to spend that money on you, if you find out, it was specific, I was like, if you find out that he's rich because he buys you a several $1,000 ring,
why would I need to wear something that expensive on my finger?
You're telling me you would say no?
Well, no, I would say yes, but then let's go find a different ring.
And see, that's the part that had me tripping out, bro. I'm assuming multi-millionaire. This guy is like rich. For what? You're marrying into millions, and you because
why would I wear a ring
so
that expensive?
You can wear it in the shower and it won't rust. That's how you flex on a bitch. That's how you do it.
Okay.
You got to take pictures in your waterfall shower because he's like, rich
right
with
here.
the ring on your face. Like, oh man, it's just so bright in here. You know what I'm saying? And then, because for me, this is the only Leo trait I will ever, well, other than being generous, I do like that one, but this is the only Leo trait I will ever claim. I like expensive things. I'm not gonna say, I don't think there should be like, you need to spend this much on a ring.
Okay, and that was where my issue was, because I had a friend that I talked to in college, like, we went to high school together and stuff like that, and we were talking about rings, and she said that she felt that a guy didn't love her enough if the ring... I'll wait till you finish drinking. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
She felt that a guy didn't love her enough if he got her a ring that was less than 6 figures. And that is what her mom instilled in her. And I was like, that is insane to me. And that's where I started having an issue as far as how much a ring should cost. Because I was like, why is it that it has to be that certain amount of figures? That doesn't make any sense. That's a house. Why is it that he doesn't love you, that you feel that he doesn't love you enough if it doesn't cost that much? Why does he have to go broke over a ring? That's stupid to me.
Hey, but see, I feel like those are two different mentalities over he's rich and he already bought the ring versus you expecting him to spend a certain amount on that bitch.
Okay, that's fair. Okay,
ma'am. Because listen, okay, I'm gonna be a little shallow here. I do think he should spend at least $1,000 on it, and not because it needs to look a certain way, but it's something that you're supposed to wear every single day. Okay. I don't want that bitch to tarnish. I don't want it coming apart. This is my pride and joy. This is my
almost middle finger.
No. This is my werewolf mark. You know what I'm getting at? This marks me as belonging to you and you belonging to me.
That's fair.
It needs to look nice. Don't bring me no shit from the dollar store.
No, see, now in that case, I'd be pissed. Because, one, I can't wear fake jewelry.
Come the fuck on. We got princess skin in this house.
We do. So my skin, I will know immediately if it's fake.
It's fake as fuck.
So that at that point, you have no respect for me. So I have no problem with you getting something that you can afford, or if it's something that, or let's say that we talked about something, or we just was like going shop, or I was going to shop and I dragged him along with me or something like that. I'd be like, oh, that's so pretty, and it's something that doesn't really cost that much, but he has money to get something that costs triple times that amount. But that was something that I specifically said I liked, and he remembered that and got that, went back and got that.
That's way different.
That is something completely different, and I would value that. Now, if it was something that came from, like, I guess his heart, whatever, mushy gushy stuff, and he got something custom made that cost a lot of money, but he put a lot of thought into it, of course I'm not gonna say go take that shit back. I would be like, that's really sweet, oh my god. In my mind, I would be like, he spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I would appreciate it because of where it came from. He's not getting it because it cost this amount of money.
Yep.
That's where my issue is. Don't get me something because it cost this amount of money.
Yeah,
you think I'm gonna like it.
That's fair.
Get something that I actually like, and if it happens to cost that and you can afford it, that's different.
So just in case her future fiance is watching this at some point in the future, come find me because I know what she wants, and then that way you're not wasting your money on something fruitless.
And you know it won't have diamonds in it.
And that, there's two different things. That just reminded me. There's two things I wanted to talk about. There's someone from our church group that got a ring that I kind of liked, and that's why I feel like it needs to cost a certain amount. We'll get into that. But then the second thing I wanted to say is, I think there's also a difference, while we're talking about materialism, there's a difference between, like, let's say we meet, I'm 23 right now, let's say we meet within the next year or so, and we fall, like, deeply in love, like, true, healthy, we're growing together love, and we just do not have the money to get expensive shit, but we feel the need to commit to each other now. If you just give me the, like, solid band, that's fine, because I will expect at some point later down the line to, like, maybe on the actual wedding day, you know what I'm saying, something like that, because we will have grown at that point, you know what I'm saying,
have talked about it at that point and be like, look, I can't, let's say that, like, same scenario, I'm not 23, but same scenario, and I'm like, okay, look, I know that we both can't afford this right now, I'd rather we both don't go broke just to get this right now, but let's get something that just symbolizes that we're together.
That our union, yeah, man.
Even if it's like a tattoo, that'd be cute. And then, like, not on the ring, but...
Okay, I was gonna say, I remember when I was in my first ever sexual relationship, we were super, energetically tied to each other, so we kind of both thought we were gonna be in it for the long haul. And I remember talking about getting I really like the triple moon symbol. We were talking about getting that tattooed on our ring finger by like 28 if we hadn't married each other by then. I might still do that just because I like the idea, but
and when I'm saying like matching tattoos, I'm saying like it doesn't necessarily have to be the exact same tattoo. It can be like in the same
area, same like, corresponding. There you go.
So even if it's something like that, but we're going to do that temporarily, and then you can get me the ring that you want to get me, or get the ring that I want for myself when we can get to it.
When we can afford that, yeah,
and that's perfectly fine.
So then to backtrack, that a similar situation did happen between two friends of ours, but see the issue in why I think if the idea is just to commit to each other, you should probably go sustainably simple. I like that. Because he got her a ring with the moonstone in it instead of a diamond. Now, I fucking love moonstone and I want one on my ring in the future anyway.
And she preferred that, I will say that.
Yes, she did like that. He was right on the money. But the thing is, he didn't spend quite enough and the gemstone kept falling out. Now, you can consider that a bad omen, or you can consider that a cheap motherfucker. There's only two options. There's only two options. Now, that's what I'm saying. I would rather you get me a solid band that will never rust, never bend, never break, than buy me some shit that's gonna keep falling apart. Because
see, those repair costs gonna end up adding up, and it's gonna add up to the cost that you should pay for in the first place.
In the first motherfucking place. And then now these two particular people, neither of them are doing well financially even to this day. And I feel like they should have waited until they got married, or like, you know,
waited to get married.
Yeah, like, because there's no timetable for that. Like, I know people hate being engaged for like 2+ years or whatever. Like, there's a whole, oh yeah, I've been engaged for 5 years, but it'll for sure happen next year. That's one thing. It's a completely different thing to be like, yeah, we want this, and this at the wedding, and we need X amount of money to make that happen.
And I feel like people do it, like, it's different because some people are afraid of commitment, so then they're like, oh, they're just trying to hold on to that person, so I'm just going to give you a little bit of what you wanted, and then and string you along. There's a difference between doing that and being smart about it. And so I have no problem with saying, you decide, making sure, this is going to sound bad because the only way I can word it is kind of messed up, but making sure that you don't feel that you feel the need to move on, that I'm not serious about you, that I am going to propose and say, hey, I want to put a ring on it. This, I want you, I just don't want you to feel like I'm not serious about this. I just can't afford with what we want. And then, once we do want it, once we can afford it, then that's exactly what we're going to do. There's a difference between establishing that and then stringing somebody along.
And then it's really interesting, I think, that you bring this up, because we wanted to use what I'm about to bring up as a clip, but we just never went back and found it. We saw a video on Instagram and this guy complaining about his now ex-wife. She was pressuring me. I think they did. But he was complaining. He was like, you pressured me into getting married. She said, no, I told you what I wanted out of a relationship and you decided to give that to me.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to find a clip and I'm going to give it to Kaylyn. We're going to insert it here.
Bet.
We were living together, right? You said you no longer wanted to live with me and shack up with me because you wanted to be my wife, not my girlfriend.
Right, because I wanted to know where
that
the relationship was going.
That don't sound like pressure to you?
It sounds like me voicing where I see my life going. It sounds like me saying, this is what I would like. You can decide to meet me there. If not, we can reevaluate what exactly we're doing.
Okay. Additionally,
would I call it pressure per se? Not necessarily pressure.
It is pressure. But you don't want to say it's pressure. What about being engaged?
You might have felt pressure.
What about
being engaged?
There was no
pressure behind it.
I said We don't got to rush to get married. You said, I don't want to be engaged longer than a year. Is that not pressure?
All right, so we cut out a lot of the clip because the full context was about sex, and we're going to talk about that as well as someone responded to it, and we like the way that he contextualized everything. But the point is still...
In the later videos.
Yeah, in later episodes. But the point is still me indicating or articulating what I expect in no way implies that you should be the one to adhere to that. If that's not something that you want... As my partner, if I'm telling you, I want a monogamous relationship, I want to get married, I want to do so and so and such and such, if those are not things you agree with.
That, like, even taking it back into the context of, like, just the ideal of what we're talking about, like, I want us to be progressing and getting this amount of money at this point. I want us to have a family at this point, but only when we can afford it. Like, setting all of these things in place, this is what I want. Because we have a lot of, and that's the reason why we wanted to talk about it in this video. There's a lot of things that women want, but we are afraid to voice it out of fear of sounding, was it bougie,
demanding,
stuck up, and was a gold digger and stuff like that. All of those things make us feel like we shouldn't want the things that we crave to sustain.
And again, I'm saying what I want. If that's not something that you want,
walk away.
You have every right to get the fuck on and not feel any type of way about it. And that's why I don't like... That's why people say men are trash or men are liars or whatever. It's a liable omission at that point, because even though you're not saying that that's what you want, it's the fact that you're not saying what you do want. I have 2 examples for that. In my relationship, I told him outright, I want to be in this relationship for a minimum of 4 years. Like, I want to try and do a long-term relationship. He agreed to it off rip. And then I told him from that point, okay, well, we're not going to start dating immediately. Let's hang out for about a month and see how shit goes. And then at the end of the month, I want you to officially ask me to be your girlfriend. He did all of that. But he never at any point articulated what he wanted from me. And then towards the end of our relationship, when shit started falling apart, I started sitting back and watching and paying attention to what behavior he responded to from me. And I remember asking him, do you really want to be a boyfriend-ass boyfriend? Like, do you want to be a serious, actual-ass boyfriend? Or do you want to be a best friend with benefits? Guess what the fuck he said?
Best friend with benefits.
Of course he did. And on paper, there's nothing wrong with that. But
understanding... You should have said that in the first place.
You should have said that in the first place, because now we're 2 years in and you know that I want a long-term relationship. You know that's what I want. And then you're gonna... And that's the shit that drives me insane. Instead of being a rational human being and saying this isn't working, we should break up, he's gonna beat himself up for not being what I want from him. You don't have to. There's nothing wrong with you. We're just not compatible. My second example for that, after my ex and I broke up, we broke up in maybe July 2019. Around September, I started hanging out with somebody else. I told him straight up, I'm not looking for a relationship from anybody. I do want to have an intimate sexual relationship. Like, I want to be able to get forehead kisses or come over and just hang out with you and shit like that. But that's all I want. He said, okay, that's cool. I said, what do you want? He says, we'll deal with that when it gets there. The fuck does that mean? What does that mean? Fuck does that mean, Kobe Bryant? There's a joke. But yeah, so like shit like that, I feel like, and I had to grow to get to that point. I'm not going to act like everybody's that articulate or that I've always been that articulate. But the point is that if I'm giving you the opportunity to tell me what it is you actually want, even if you have to say, I never thought about that, give me a second, that's perfectly acceptable. But guys, especially in our age range, tend to not do that because they don't think about the depth of what a relationship can actually be. And my third example for that, I didn't remember this until I was talking. I had a friend that I was in massage school with, and we lived close enough to each other that I would pick him up and drop him off basically every day. And one day I'm dropping him off back at home, and we're in the parking lot or in his driveway having a conversation. Now, I'm a Leo and he's a Taurus, for context on how frustrating this conversation was for me. But I'm asking him, so what's the difference to you between a girlfriend versus a girlfriend, like a female friend, someone you just hang out with? He's like, what do you mean? What the fuck do you mean? What do I mean? To me, that's illogical. But that's because as a girl, I've been conditioned to think about relationships almost my entire life. Nobody makes guys think about that. And that's, again, later in the clip. I don't know if because we're recording this basically as we're going, so I'm not sure how much of the clip we're going to include at this point. But there's a point in there where, oh my God, I almost lost my train of thought. Fuck. I completely lost it, and I was, man.
Well, it's okay. As you think about that, I'll talk about what I was going to say as far as it, because I have immense respect for a guy who can be honest about, because the way I grew up with a lot of male influence, and like guys saying or having the issue with women not being articulate about what they want, and you know, not being honest about it, and trying to lie to I guess essentially trap or whatever. And so that had me, for most people who know me, I'm kind of brutally honest sometimes. I can't help it. I try to be nice about it if I like you, but or I'll just walk away and just not be bothered with you. But I have immense respect for people who, or especially men, who will be honest with me. You have no reason to lie. I'm not that hard to talk to. A lot of guys have no issue with talking to me. So there's no reason for you to lie to me, because I can't get mad if honesty is what I asked from you. Mm-hmm. And even if I don't have to, or I can't get mad at you for it. I may not like what you have to say, and I'm perfectly within my rights to not like what you have to say. Mm-hmm. But I can do nothing but respect and not get mad at you for saying it, because that's exactly what I asked for. Because sometimes some women, not all, some women have the tendency to want honesty, but then they want the honesty that's
that feeds
blinded
into their narrative. Yeah,
they want it. Oh, be honest with me as long as I like it. No, be honest with me even if I don't like it, because I don't want it to end up to be something where it's going to be a bad thing. For example, I know a person that had agreed to have a friends with benefit relationship, and this person, the woman, she caught feelings, and she had been with this person they had been kind of getting close. She met this person's grandkids, and he's very, very protective of his grandkids. He met her kids. All of this stuff was going on. He was doing a lot of relationship stuff, but they never officially moved to that. And she started to catch feelings because there were so many things that they related on. And there's nothing wrong with that. She's perfectly within her rights to catch feelings. Mm-hmm. But that's not his problem if that's what you agreed to. And if he didn't, and it's also not his problem if you don't communicate that.
If you never brought it up,
and she got upset because he didn't want a relationship by the time that they got a year into it, and she felt like, oh, I hope I didn't waste a year, and blah, blah, blah. And while I felt like he did have love for her and he was scaring himself out of it, I still believe that to this day. The point is that you didn't say anything. How can you expect him to know what you want if you don't say that? Mm-hmm. So in my situation, I was going to say for mine, I have immense respect for my friend who is my friends with almost basically, yeah. And but he was completely honest with me from the beginning. He has always been honest with me. And he was honest when he thought there was a possibility that I would have been veering the wrong way. He was like, can I be honest? I respected that. And I told him that. I respect that you asked me to be honest. I was not being clouded in any way because I knew that you were leaving anyway. Mm-hmm. But the fact that you wanted to bring that up, I respect you for that because you respect my feelings. That's
enough
the way
to
that
just be an honest ass human being.
Enough to just even bring it up, because you could have just kept on playing along with it and just expected, oh, well, she knows that I'm leaving, so she shouldn't expect anything, blah, blah, blah. But the fact that you respected me enough as a person and respected my feelings and our friendship enough to be like, hey, look, I don't want to lead you on, I'm leaving, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it's cool. I respect you for saying that, and I wasn't expecting anything anyway. We're good. Mm-hmm. So with that being said,
yeah, man, I remembered, I just accidentally played a little bit of the audio over you talking, but I remember what I was going to say. There's a point in the clip where she's talking about she didn't understand the full implications of being in a monogamous relationship with the guy because she didn't know what his expectations were going to be. And their conversation is very specifically catered towards sex, which is why we're not using the whole clip. But I think that applies to a lot of different things, because niggas usually don't even know themselves enough to articulate, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, and they have the nerve to be like, but you demanded this from me, you did so and so and such and such.
So I deserve to have everything. What I did not like about this video specifically is that he objectified women as a possession, and I didn't like that, because you felt that once I give you what you want as far as marriage, you belong to me. You don't belong to yourself anymore. This is going a little bit into the sex thing, because that's the context that he used, but he's like, well, since I gave you this, you have to give me everything that I want. That's not how that works.
Yeah, man, he's talking about, you said you wanted to get engaged, we get engaged. You said you wanted to get married within a year, we did that. So then why do you not want to give sex to your husband? And I'm like, bro.
And she didn't say that. It's not that you was being celibate the whole marriage. It was that she didn't necessarily want it every day. She does mention in the video, she's like, things change, chemistry, mentality, all that changed. Having kids,
fucking children, you have other changes. Priorities other than the person that you're with, because that's the point of getting married.
Other than screwing him all day, that. And then when you were in a dating relationship, was that what you were doing all day? I'm sure it was not.
And I feel like it would have been different if at any point when she's talking about, I want to get married, I want to do this, if he was like, well, I expect this and this from a marriage. That would have changed the course of things entirely, because then that gives her the right to say, I don't want to be involved in that.
And she fully acknowledged that she was like, you were right. I didn't expect that this is what would be the end of it, because then I would have reevaluated. She left the silent evaluated with you off, but implied, but that's the point, like, because not every guy is like that. We're not gonna classify as every guy is like that, because we know that's not true.
Well, all men are trash though.
Okay. But we're not gonna say that. It's just that this specific guy is just a jackass, like, just completely, because the fact that he kept saying, I have to address this. He was trying so hard to be a personality and be funny, but it was cringeworthy, because especially in the context of which he was talking, and it just made him look like a complete asshole. Period. He was saying, like, I mean, as you hear in the clip, but talking about you forced this on me. I didn't put a gun to your head and make you get married to me and say you can't say no. We didn't do that.
Like, it's marriage or nothing.
I didn't hold your hand and make you sign the certificate saying that you married to me. I didn't make you go get that suit. I didn't make you go buy that ring. I said that I'm at a point in my life where I want to be in a wholly committed relationship where it's just going to be us two, and we decided this is what we want together for the rest of our life. You are my soul partner. That's what I want. I want my soul partner. I don't want to shack up anymore. I don't want to play house and you get all the benefits of it, but I don't get what I want out of it. I don't get the entire commitment out of it. That's what I want. And she expressed that. Why are you mad that you complied with it? I didn't say that you had to do it. I said, this is what I want. You decided that you wanted me enough to say, well, damn, I'll give her that because I don't want her to leave.
I don't want to lose her, bro. Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, that'll have to be a whole separate topic. Selfishism.
Yeah.
Selfish, though. We gotta talk about being selfish in relationships. Because I think at the end of the day, that's a lot of why that shit bothers me, at least. Like, I really can't stand why be in a relationship if your entire intention of being in one is to be selfish. Right. Khairah just blinked because that makes no fucking sense. That, like, literally doesn't make sense. I got in an argument with one of the mutual friends I had with my ex because he had a girlfriend and that was the first person he'd ever been with sexually and blah, blah, blah. And, like, they were really close, but she was at school at MSU and he was still in our general area, which is, like, about an hour drive. And I don't think he had a car at the time. So he's talking about there's this girl at his job and she's been flirting with him and he's wondering if he should give her a chance or whatever. First of all, why the fuck are you talking to me about that? I'm a girl. There's no way in fuck I'm gonna agree with you. First of all. Second of all, I'm telling him, then break up with her. I'm not saying don't sleep with that girl, but if you want to have your cake and eat it too, why not be fucking single? Don't cheat on somebody and break her heart just because you wanted to get a nut off.
And there's so much stuff, and what some people don't realize, there's so much other stuff that goes into breaking a girl's heart, because we overanalyze a lot of stuff.
Breaking anybody's heart, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Because in just people in general, we internalize a lot of things. Mm-hmm. What did I do wrong? Why am I not enough?
What did I do to deserve this?
And so then that kind of breaks down your self-esteem a little bit. Now, if you have high self-esteem, be like, there was nothing wrong with me, he just fucked up, or she just fucked up. Mm-hmm. That's great. That's cool. But not everybody takes it that way. And so there's no point in you causing that issue. If you feel like you need to take a break, take a break.
Take a fucking break.
Because I don't want to... Here's the thing, and I feel like it's a respect level type of thing. Mm-hmm. I respect you enough to be like, I don't want to get to a point where I feel like I have to cheat on you, so I'm going to break up with you right now. I feel like this is not going to work right now, and if we come back to each other, then we just do.
And you know who said that before? My 16-year-old brother. He's 21 now. He was dating a senior when he was a sophomore in high school. She went off to college and he was like, I'm not finna do the long distance thing and put myself in a position to cheat on you. That is the level of maturity that he had as a 16-year-old. Now, really, the reason behind it, you could consider being immature, like, oh, he didn't want to commit to her and blah, blah, blah. But that's a nitpick. That's a fucking nitpick. Shut the fuck up. He ended the relationship and didn't string her along, didn't drag her through the mud, didn't create a whole big-ass mess that he couldn't get away from. Because he had the wherewithal to just say what he wanted in the first place. And that's... We kind of got off topic because that wasn't what we were supposed to be talking about after the clip, but like that's such a standout thing after listening to that. Like I can't help but feel so strongly about it, you know what I mean? And then I don't know how to tie that back into being materialistic per se, because again, most of their argument was about sex and not about like, oh, you were expecting me to spend more money after we got married. Because I do feel like Khairah and I have had to talk about this separately. There's a lot of connotations that come with being married that people tend to not expect or talk about. So like, let's say there's people who don't live together before they get married and decide to move in together. I know plenty of niggas that would expect you to do the dishes, clean, like do housework shit, housewife shit, without ever having discussed that. That kind of behavior breeds resentment on either side. Come on now, because then, God forbid, oh, you're doing my laundry the wrong way. I will slap the fuck out of you.
Doing your goddamn stuff. I'm gonna throw it at your face.
Please.
I'm just gonna be honest. But here's my thing. Because if I'm nice enough, because you still are a grown-ass person that can take care of yourself, I am still not your mom. So, although we are in a relationship together and we are elevating together, if I choose to be like, hey, I'm about to wash some clothes, you want me to wash yours with you? With mine, that's fine. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't turn out the right way, I'm still going to be pissed that you said that because I asked you in the first place. But then just know from now on, I'm not going to wash your clothes. And if you ask me, then expect that it's going to be done the way that I want it done. I'm not going to... Unless, you know, I'm shrinking all the clothes and stuff, and then you just trying to give me pointers. Hey, maybe put less detergent in there or something like that. But I am not meant to be your maid. We are not in the 17th century. I am not a servant to you. I am not a possession of you or
of yours. Yeah, no, yours. You said that right.
So treat me like the equal human being that I am.
And this is something that we're going to get into talking about with the Celestine prophecy a lot as far as energy conflicts go on an energetic level, because I can't help it. I'm sorry for those of you who are not listening for the energy content, but that's my life. You know what I'm saying? That's all I really know how to relate shit to. On an energetic level, people are trying to complete themselves with other people, and that's never going to work. It will never work. And I'm not going to act like I know how to fix that. I haven't learned that quite yet. I know that I haven't learned it, so I'm avoiding being in a relationship for that main reason. But as far as... How am I trying to say this? As far as the expectations you put on another person when you're in a relationship with them, you have to really take a moment when you're with somebody, because I know people don't do this. You have to at some point take a moment and assess, what do I really want from them, and is it something that I can provide to myself? Because if it is, like, let's say, again, this is an example for me personally, because I was doing a lot of shit in the relationship that I really wish that I hadn't, and I apologized to him for it after we broke up, because I had to be honest with myself. I've even brought this up before. I had plenty of my friends telling me, oh, you didn't do anything wrong, he was the one in the wrong, fuck him, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not how shit works. We were both at fault for the relationship not working. Yes, there were something. I'm a lot more articulate than he is, so I can say, you didn't do this, this, and this. But the few things that he was able to get across to me, I was able to recognize the lapses in my own behavior. So there was a time where God, don't put me on blast, but we were living in his mom's basement, and we're sharing the house with his mom, his sister, and his sister's boyfriend, and her 4 cats. So there's just a lot of other energy going on in the house. There's a lot of other input, you know what I'm saying? And there was one time where we're like trying to bring in groceries. We don't have enough space because we're paying the least amount of the rent, so they have more, air quotes, ownership over the storage space. That's frustrating as fuck to me, because I like to organize stuff. My brain just instantly goes, where can I put this? You know what I'm saying? But I can't do that because it's not my space. So I was getting frustrated, and I never voiced that frustration, but I was getting angrier and angrier and acting on it. And he had no idea what the fuck was going on because I never said anything. But then he, on his end, never once was like, why are you acting like this? You know what I'm saying? Once I finally did come out and talk to him about it, he would say, oh, well, I noticed you're kind of making, a mountain out of a molehill. Okay, that was the biggest wake-up call I've ever had in my life, because no one tells me that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? I really, truly cannot stand when people don't hold me accountable for shit that I'm doing. I feel like that is the quickest way for any relationship, friendship, whatever, to fail. Hold me accountable. He couldn't do that. But also, I couldn't do that. And I can't expect him to do something that I'm incapable of doing on my own. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Shit like that. And I don't have a material example because, again, I'm not a materialistic person. But for him, he was extremely materialistic, to the point where one of his complaints towards the end of our relationship, even though I'm in school full time, so I can't work, he's like, you're not contributing money to buying weed. My nigga, I smoke with you at the end of the day. I'm not taking any of this shit home, and I'm still giving you whatever money I can scrounge up, which is like $20 to $15 here and there. Mind you, I still gotta put gas in my car. I still have to pay off my loan. I still have to go to school and do other shit, and I'm not living with him at this point. I had moved out already. I'm not living with you. All that weed you're smoking is you smoking it. Whatever, I'm probably smoking 1 to 1.5 blunts with you before I go home, and that's at the end of the night after I wasted my gas. And there's that term, wasted, because I volunteered to spend my time with you. You know what I'm saying? I appreciated that effort. But if we're going to be comparing pennies and dimes, I wasted about $5 of gas to drive and pick your ass up from work when I could have just gone home in the first place. And then I still have to drive myself home at the end of the night, and you're complaining that I'm not paying for gas or paying for weed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can understand that on a very materialistic level, but because that's not the way my brain works, I'm like, why are you complaining about this? I already told you.
Just to kind of bring it full circle, like, that's the big difference between being a materialistic person, where it can be a negative thing, mm-hmm. and being setting your standards, because you don't have... When we were talking about materialism and stuff like that, and we were talking about, is it wrong to want a guy with money? Is it wrong to how much should a ring cost and stuff like that? Yeah. If you don't have a materialistic mindset, like, that just doesn't compute in your mind.
That shit's not going to bother you in the first place.
It's not going to be a problem, because there's nothing wrong with wanting someone who has money. I mean, that's kind of like a survival.
I want to know that my life will be secure.
It's a survival instinct. Mm-hmm. I want to know that we're not going to be sitting up here struggling every day and trying to make $1 out of 15 cents, mm-hmm. essentially. You know, we're not trying to do that. I'm not trying to live like that.
No, bro.
So there's nothing wrong with wanting somebody like that, or or aspiring to have something like that,
so that you're not carrying somebody,
right?
Or being
and then working yourself up to that level as well, because you don't want to get to the point where you just, you're grasping for straws. And then with the ring thing, is like, of course we're not materialistic, but we have reasons behind wanting something that's a little bit more costly, because in the long run it's more effective.
It's sustainable, man. And that's literally purely from a sustainability mindset,
right? And so again, even in this materialistic or materialism stuff, you're setting your standard. This is what I want. And that's going back to the video. This is what I want. I feel like I should have this. I don't want to be engaged longer than this.
I was going to say, I want to bring up an example I brought up earlier, where the guy that I got involved with early last year, where he was taking me on dates and shit, and I brought up that my ex didn't do that. I'm not bringing that up to say, oh, he didn't spend any money on me, blah, blah, blah. It was literally like, I didn't ask this person to do anything, and he went above and beyond and chose to spend that money on me and surprise me in those ways, versus the person that I called myself committing to, who didn't even want to go spend $4 on sushi just so that we could have a good time together.
And it's not about the spending the money, it's about spending the time extrovertly. Because in public is what I'll say. In public, because it's one thing of being, I'm a very, very introverted person, so I don't mind spending time alone inside and stuff like that. But eventually, like, I do want to be seen. I do want to go out. I do want to go have fun. We don't have to spend a lot of money. Literally, if we go, I like to be outside.
You go to a park.
Go to a park, and we just go on walking because that's something that I like. And that goes both ways. It shouldn't just be, the guy doing it for the girl. I know that you like video games, so I was like, I want to surprise you. We just gonna go to GameStop, and I'm gonna treat you to something or something like that, because I know that's what you like.
Yeah, man.
That's different, because you're feeding each other. But you're not necessarily being materialistic about it with money, because it doesn't always have to be money. We can literally just be goofing off, laughing at people. That sounds bad, but like in my family, we kind of people watching and laughing.
Yeah, man, some niggas are goofy, and you just have to acknowledge that.
Right, just sitting up there having fun. I don't have many examples now that we've been in quarantine for a year, and I don't remember what outside life is like. But aside from that, like, there's other stuff that can be done where you're just like walking downtown or something like that. That's just more like out of a book scene or whatever.
Man, I used to walk downtown Royal Oak just because it was interesting. You know what I'm saying?
People do it on the river walk, or used to do it on the river walk. Just sit there and just be like,
watch the boats pass or something.
And that just is fun. Or we find something, I found this free thing that's going on, you want to come with me type of stuff, or that is fun.
Just to do something together. You know what I mean? It's not about the money spent. And then I also wanted to mention, I feel like people tend to think, oh, well, I did this for you, so you should do this for me, as that's being a bad thing. I don't necessarily think it is. So I'm going to use an example. Let's say I buy him the PS5. Me doing that is not expecting him to spend that same amount of money on me. It's expecting that he'll return the emotional investment that I put into this person. I have paid attention to you. I know what you like. I know what your habits are. I'm going to get you something that will facilitate that happiness.
So, like, in Kaylyn's situation, or Kaylyn's case, she got a guy who wanted a PS5, and he wanted it so bad. He was thinking about it. He was saving up for it, and she's just like, Merry Christmas type thing. I got it for you. You don't have to worry about it, because I know that you wanted it.
I know that's something that you like.
But then on her end, she loves rocks. He invested in getting this rock that was from this place that he visited, or reminded him of her type of thing, because you can go pick up a rock from outside and it still be nice, and I've
done that several times,
but it looks really, really good. I gave my youngest brother, this is kind of off topic, but my youngest brother is really into rocks, and we literally got the rock sitting in the drive-thru at Tropical Smoothie, but it was really pretty. And he ended up loving it. And it wasn't expensive, but the value...
It's the emotional investment,
And so, or like, I've paid attention enough where she's like said something about SpongeBob, and then I found a SpongeBob movie that she wanted, and I got it for her birthday. Is paying attention to stuff like that, where it's like, even if you don't pay attention and you don't notice.
I was just gonna say, Khairah is so much better at just picking up on that stuff from a conversation than I am. Like, I probably have to ask because I'm not good at that kind of shit.
But the point that she does that, like, there was time for my birthday, she was like, I don't know what you want. But she knows that I love books, so she knew that it was going to be book related. Even when I said, I was like, I probably want a book, she was like, yeah, I figured. But that's something that I express a lot. And we literally went to the store one time, and I was looking at books that I was going to buy for myself, and she bought half of them for my birthday. That is
for Christmas. I knew she wanted to watch, so I'm going to ask her questions to make sure I get this specific type of watch she would like, but then I'm going to keep some secrets. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And so it's those little things, like you can ask somebody what they want, and then, keep it, archived for later or whatever it may be.
She even did that with my parents. They like Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee, and she just remembered that my mom had gushed about it at some point. But it's shit like that. It's the emotional investment. You know what I'm saying? And that's part of why they don't mind having her in the house, because I know Khairah gets up her ass about it. Her own ass, mind you. So I just had to bring that up in public. I know, right? It's a lot of ass. It's a whole lot of ass. But I just had to bring that up because it's stuff like that that makes it feel like you're a part of the household and not just taking up space. Okay.
That's fair.
Yep.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And I think we're running a bit long at this point, even with all the screaming I did a while ago.
Yep. We have a lot to cut out.
Yes, I just sat there and for a good 2 seconds because I needed to have that audio spike, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I should get a clapboard. For movies. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so with that being said, that's all that we are going to talk about this time. We probably will pick back up some other time.
Clearly there's a lot to talk about.
We thought that we wasn't going to have much to talk about, and this is well over an hour.
I was going to say, hour and a half later, here we are.
Right. I think this turned out pretty good, and definitely we'll pick it back up again. That video clip kind of just got us going.
Really going, bro. Wild.
We went into a direction that we wasn't planning on going into, but
it opened up stuff that we need to talk about. Yeah, because we also, I'm gonna put the link to that video in the description. It's also got the second part of it that usually just pops up next.
Yeah.
So give that a watch and make sure you're caught up by the next time we talk about this.
We will still include clips, but not the whole thing.
No. So yes. All right, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I am at KaylynWasHere_.
Oh, am I supposed to say the at thing? Okay. No. Sorry, I had to.
Yeah.
I have a Instagram and Twitter as well, unfortunately. And it is Khairah_is_here for both.
Yep. And with that being said,
Khairah is here.
Kaylyn was here. And thanks for listening. Bye!